Is Nigeria still a democracy, or are we slowly realizing something else? I asked myself this question while watching events around FCT elections, not because elections did not take place, but because democracy is not just about voting. Democracy is about perception of fairness. It is about the neutrality of institutions and the trust in the process. So when citizens begin to question not just politicians this time, but the system itself, that is a warning sign. Now, let me step back for a moment because Africa has seen this pattern before. Countries didn't just wake up one morning and become autocracies. They drifted gradually through narratives, through institutional shift, through normalization of power concentration. So when we say democracy, many people think it simply means we vote, we hold elections. But democracy is bigger than that. And honestly, watching conversations around the FCT elections made me to pause because the real question is not if election took place. The deeper question is how healthy does the system feel? Now let's zoom the lens for a second because Africa has walked this road before many times, not through sudden coups, but through gradual shifts. We have quiet adjustment. We have slow normalization of undemocratic processes. So let's take Uganda, for example. President Yoweri Museveni came into power in 1986. That is almost 40 years ago. At the beginning, he was seen as the great stabilizer. People loved him. People welcomed him because he came in after the conflict and instability in Uganda. But as years passed, power stayed longer, oppositions became weakened, and institutions had to adjust. Elections continue in Uganda even till today, but the political space is tightened. Uganda did not suddenly abandon democracy, but some people even say Uganda is still democratic. It slowly changed shape. Now let's look at our neighbor, Cameroon. President Paul Biya has been in power since 1982, and that is over 44 years. Elections do happen in Cameroon, but leadership rarely changes, and competition becomes predictable. Now let's consider Equatorial Guinea. President Theodore Obiang. He took over power since 1979, nearly 47 years now, and that is the world's oldest president. Democratic structure exists on paper, but the real power remains heavily centralized. Then we look at Rwanda. President Paul Kagame. He has since led since 2000, and that is 26 years from now. Rwanda is being praised for development and order, that we know. But politically, competition is limited. Strong governance, yes, but it is a tightly controlled political environment. Let me take you back to Zimbabwe. President Robert Mugabe. He ruled from 1980 to 2017, and that is 37 years. Elections existed during those times, but dominance and political intimidation shaped the political landscape. And so does Chad. Idris Deby. He ruled from 1990 to 2021, and that is 31 years. After his death, power moved to Mahamat Deby. A transition, yes, but read the name again. Mahamat Deby, his son. So most of these countries did not just cancel elections. In short, most of them are considered to be practicing democracy. Now let's bring this conversation back home to Nigeria. Nigeria is still vibrant, still noisy, still politically aggressive. But beneath the noise, the question is, are our institutions neutral enough? Is the playing field fair? Is the competition truly open? Does every voter genuinely feel empowered? Because democracy is not just about the system, it's also about public belief. It's about feeling that my vote matters, the process is fair. So when that confidence begins to shake even slightly, the democratic process is questionable, and that matters. But let's be clear, Nigeria is not Uganda, Nigeria is not Cameroon, Nigeria is none of those countries listed. But history teaches us something important. Democratic decline is rarely dramatic. It is always gradual. It starts subtly. When outcomes feel predictable, when institutions feel tilted, that difference does matter. Because power naturally loves to expand, but only strong institutions and citizens keep democracy healthy. So where is Nigeria heading? That depends on how independent institutions remain, how credible elections feel, how engaged citizens continue to be. Nigeria is still a democracy, But democracy is not permanent by default. It must be protected. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.